Hey guys, Jim here, and as promised, I'm going to give you a more in-depth look at my new Crusader Forge. This thing is just a massive freaking tank of a knife. It's super cool. This is the Crusader Forge VIS-T. Now, to get a few of the specifications out of the way before we get any further into this, the blade length on it is 3¾ inches, 3.75 inches. It looks, because of its chunkiness and how thick it is, you know, when you see it in pictures, you really think it's a lot bigger, but it's only 3¾ inches. If you want to go bigger, you have to go into the FIFP, Fear is for Prey. That's basically the same knife, just in a larger blade. The total open length is 8¾ inches, so including the handle and the blade. So yeah, the handle is a lot bigger than the blade actually is, and you can actually see that when it's folded up in there. They give you a lot of extra room in there. The blade material, CPM S30V. Love S30V. A lot of people don't like it. I've never had a single issue with it. I'm not going to be using this as a, as a pry bar. I'm not going to be hatcheting and chopping stuff with it, so I'm not too worried about that. Edge retention is great, super sharp. For what I'm about to talk about is that, how big and how thick the blade is. It's actually really, really razor sharp. When I compare it like to my Medford Praetorian, another knife famous for big, thick, heavy blade stock, this is a lot sharper right out of the box. Now, what's really cool about these, I'm going to kind of switch hands here, is the coatings that they choose to use. Now, on this one, for the blade coating, they're using something called KG2402. Now, the whole deal with that is it's KG Industries, and they basically make these coatings. It's most often going to be seen in guns, in firearms, whether it be rifles or handguns. And they're able to create this three-dimensional look with that coating. Now, the coating is actually kind of neat because the way KG Industries actually describes it, it's actually going to be a protective coating. You're actually adding protection to the blade over and above what the steel would already have. You've got, they claim impact resistance, lubricity, heat dissipation, chemical and corrosion resistance, and adding durability and scratch resistance on top of that. So I was a little worried when I first saw these. When I first saw the images and heard people talking about them, I was worried about getting a blade with coatings on it because I was afraid of that coating wearing off. So far, I've sliced a few things with it, and I mean, there's just not a single mark on it, just nothing. Look at how massive that edge is. Now, on this side, you see there's no real edge on this side. They have grounded on both sides, and you can certainly feel that. And that hollow grind really does get almost paper thin here. But they do a very, very steep grind on this for the edge. And the result is something insanely sharp. I don't know if I have any paper accessible to me. I'll try to reach over for some before I get done with this. So let's talk about this knife in practical everyday use. It's still very stiff. I really haven't broken it in. It's obviously opening a lot more fluidly than it did the day that I first got it and did the unboxing video. So it's starting to break in nicely already. I've only carried it for, I think, 2 days out of the 4 that I've owned it because, a lot of you that follow my channel know that I received my Medford the very next day, and I've been carrying the Medford a lot. It's a tank. I mean, it really is. A lot of people are not going to want to carry this as an EDC. Let's just be frank. This thing has got to be, I don't have a scale here at home because I'm not a cocaine dealer, so I have not had a chance to weigh it. I'm going to have to guess it's got to be somewhere around 8 ounces or maybe even more. This has got to be at least a ½ pound. You've got just massive, massive slabs of titanium. Now, obviously, titanium is used in applications like this because it's lighter weight than steel, but titanium still has a good amount of weight to it. Yeah, if this was some sort of steel, like 316 or 314 steel in this kind of size, this would pull your pants down. So, yeah, they really would have to go with titanium. The lockup is solid. This almost feels like a fixed blade knife that just happens to fold. I mean, this thing is just rock solid. But it is so massive. I actually joked with a friend of mine. I said, this is basically a cinder block that folds in half, because that's almost what it feels like in the hand. It's just this massive, heavy chunk. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I just want to make that very clear for anyone entertaining the notion of buying one who is in a situation like me where, you can't find it. You don't have a chance to hold it. Maybe you don't have a friend that has one that you can actually sample and get an idea of. You're just kind of ordering blindly if you ever find one for sale. So I just want to make it very clear on both sides. Yeah, man, this is a badass knife, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But it's going to be cumbersome for a lot of people to carry in the pocket just because of its size, both in the thickness this way and this way. Because you got to realize how much of your pocket it's going to take up. Not everybody's like me. A lot of people are going to carry other things in the same pocket as their knife. I'll never understand that. Especially when you're spending, $700, $800, $900 on a knife like this. I'm not going to put my keys and pocket change in there with it. Shit, no. It's going to get enough wear and enough battle scars just carrying it and using it on a daily basis. I don't need to do anything, to speed up that process. So for a guy like me, it doesn't matter how big and wide and thick the knife is. It's still carryable. I know carryable is not a real word. I don't care. Another reason I really love this thing was the flamed patterns that they put into their titanium. Not all models are going to be like that. They have some that are just completely plain titanium, washed titanium, and they may or may not do anything on the blade. For me, if I was going to get a Crusader Forge, it had to be the 3D blade. It had to be. From the very first time I saw this about 4 years ago, I went nuts. And I've been looking almost that long to get my hands on one. But you guys know, it's about a year wait if you order from them. I've never been patient enough to do that until this year. And I finally put in a few orders, a couple of orders with Una after getting my first Una. I'm going to be waiting a year and a half for those. I've been waiting for a while with Mikkel Williamson. I had an unexpected wait with Dave Curtis. So I've gotten to the point now, I have enough knives that I think are great, that I really enjoy, that I don't mind waiting a few months to get something. But at the time when I first saw these, I'm like, hell no, I ain't waiting no year to get me a knife. And now it's not so much of a big deal. But if you're waiting to find a dealer that's got one, good luck. Because the rare occasion you see a dealer upload this knife, it is snatched up within minutes. You really have to be there as soon as they upload it. And everybody marks them up like crazy. I've seen these routinely go for $1,300, $1,400. Even in trade value, not even just cash value, but even just in trade value. That's a lot of money. You really have to weigh your priorities at that point when you start spending over $1,000 on a knife. I'm glad I didn't have to. As I mentioned in my unboxing video, I got it from Joel and Dave over at thehollowgrind.com. They're amazing guys. I'm fortunate that I live local, and Joel is really cool, and he hand delivers anything that I buy from him. And it's funny, he was just delivering to me a set of $25 Hinderer standoffs for my XM24. He's like, oh yeah, we finally got our Crusader Forge order in that we ordered a year ago. You want to see a couple of them? I'm like, yeah. So he brings this. I fell in love. I had no intention of buying it, and I had to do it. Unfortunately, I had to do it in front of my wife, and she had to see how much it cost. Usually I can lie about that. You guys know what I'm talking about. So let's get back into the knife itself and get away from my rambling stories. You have, and I don't know if you can quite see it from this view, yeah, you have a massive blade stop bar on there. That is thick. And you see, I flipped the hell out of this thing. I'm trying to break it in, so I'm really wailing on it. So it's already made some marks on that stop bar. But it's such a massive stop bar. There's no wiggle. This, not up and down, not side to side. It really is, and again, I still say it's an overused term, but it really applies to this knife. It is truly built like a tank. The comfort, it's hard to call a knife this big and this blocky comfortable, but honestly, they did a great job with it. Your hand falls right into place where they want it to, right behind that flipper. They've got a little bit of a thumb notch there. that the meat of your thumb will drop into. They didn't have to do any crazy jimping or make a big thumb ramp. Your thumb just kind of drops into it and kind of locks in place. To add in a little bit of the comfort and obviously to take a little bit of weight out, they've put this, I guess, would you call that chamfering? Chamfering, possibly? Anyway, they've kind of cut this swedge out of the titanium block, and it helps to drop off that side a little bit so it feels a little bit slimmer in your hand when it comes up against here. Now, I was a little bit worried about the pocket clip because the pocket clip is huge, but I can really bear down on this thing, and I barely feel that it's there, so I'm not getting any serious hot spot out of it. What I will say is, it's way too tight. I almost always have to use two hands to get this into my jeans pocket. I really do have to kind of pry that open a little bit to get it into my pocket. It's a little too tight, and there's no adjusting for that. I mean, that's just simply the way it is. If I could bear that screwed down a little bit and this one a little bit looser to let it rock open a little bit, I would. But I mean, look how tight those tolerances are. I mean, it's made to fit, period. And you're not going to do anything about that. Well, I can't seem to get it to focus. Focus. Oh, I know why. Doesn't like to focus if it's partially zoomed in. There we go. So as you see, I didn't clean it quite good enough. It's definitely been carried already. Blade centering is nice. Little optical illusion there thanks to the way that they grind this. It doesn't look like it's centered, but believe me, it most certainly is. I like the feel in the hand. It's almost confidence inspiring. You feel like you could go onto a field of battle with this thing. It feels like what it is. It feels like a weapon, and it's great to have, your pretty knives, and it's great to have your regular EDCs. But there's something about picking up a knife and just feeling that this is a weapon. Some quick size comparisons. I know I've done that already, but if you didn't see the unboxing video, here we are up against the Hinderer XM24. And of course, I'm going to have to bring it up against the Medford Praetorian. This was the one-off knife that Greg gave away during the contest, so no, you can't actually buy one like that. He's not going to make them like that. But that's your best size comparison. Yes, the Praetorian is a taller blade, and because of the different style of blade, it's just going to look bigger. This is tremendously heavier. Now, my Praetorian is not a standard Praetorian tie. It is the titanium, but he had done it in the slimmer version for this one-off, more like a Praetorian A or Praetorian G. So until my Praetorian tie comes in that I purchased, I have to wait 4 more months. I can't actually do a real honest-to-goodness side-by-side with the Crusader Forge. I will when it comes in, and I think it's going to be more of a fair comparison. But for right now, this thing makes both my Medford and my Hinderer feel like almost like toys. Even my Bodega. Almost the exact same dimensions all the way around, except for obviously how tall that blade is. But when you put them in the hand, this is probably a good 2 to 3 ounces, actually probably more. I'd probably say more like 3 to 4 ounces heavier than this. And the Bodega is not a lightweight knife. Those of you that have one know that. It's not really a lightweight knife at all. So in my personal opinion, which is kind of what all this is ramping up to, I would tell somebody, if you're the type of person that buys to collect, to occasionally carry, and actually use and not have any fear of using such an expensive knife, I would highly suggest searching one of these out. Whatever model, whether it's the VIS-T or the FIFP, whatever it is, I would suggest getting into a Crusader Forge. If you're a hard use carry person, maybe not get one quite as ornate where you might feel guilty about, tearing it up. But this is going to be a good hard use knife. It was overbuilt, but seemingly with a purpose. I'm not out there, and I've mentioned this in a lot of my earlier videos. I'm not out there doing the things that a lot of people would be doing that have a real requirement for a tactical knife. I'm not in the service. I'm just not doing those type of activities. I feel, however, if I were, that out of pretty much everything I own, this would be the one that I would have complete confidence in. It doesn't feel like you can break it. I feel like I could wedge this into something and pry it open. I feel like I could cut into, I don't know, a paint can if I had to. I have no fear with this. It's thick, it's heavy. It has the solidity of carrying a fixed blade knife in my pocket. It's well built in every respect. And a lot of the ones that I've seen, a lot of the knives that I've seen in different brands, where they've gone into this whole ridiculously overbuilt kind of look, they do well with making it big and chunky and clunky, but there's no finesse to them. There's no real design to them. There's no, I don't want to say beauty, but there's no cool factor to them except for the fact that they are overbuilt. And a lot of times there's no refinement. Everywhere I look on this, I see refinement. I see overall amazing quality. I see thoughtfulness in the way everything was designed, the way they rounded off this corner here, because this is the part that's going to be sticking up out of your pocket. All the way around this edge, just slightly beveled off for just a little bit more comfort in your hand. Even the machine grooves, they're not really finger grooves, but your fingers tend to fall into them anyway. It's overbuilt. It seems to be overbuilt with a purpose, and it's high quality manufacturing throughout the entire knife. The sharpness is incredible. Oh, I promised I would bring out a piece of paper. Let's see very quickly. This is a little bit hard to do in the cramped quarters that I have here. So it certainly has no problems cutting through anything. I have not stropped this. Do a comparison. Cuts basically as good as my Hinderer does. Here's something just for giggles. I haven't tried this yet with the Medford. Yeah, so it's definitely going to be a lot sharper than the Praetorian. I guess I'll be spending a couple of hours stropping that. So in my opinion, if you don't mind carrying a massive, impractical, heavy cinder block type of thing in your pocket, if that's not going to bother you, you're going to perform any task you want to with this with the greatest of ease. It's going to slice delicately enough to slice through paper into ribbons. It'll shave hair off your arm. I've already done that before. It'll stab through a friggin' car door. I would assume that with the greatest of confidence. And once this thing breaks in, I think it's going to be a lot smoother. I mean, it's breaking in a lot more quickly than I expected. So it's definitely getting smoother in its operation. It has got a massive detent. There is no way that you're ever going to have that fly open on you. And we can watch that as it drops back in. Boom. It just grabs it and sucks it in. It has got one hell of a detent. And you'll feel it also halfway through, right there. You'll feel that detent pop again. See if I can get a look at that. Yeah, that is a massive detent ball. There's also a lot of pressure on this lock bar. I would normally say that I would have expected or appreciated a lock bar stabilizer to prevent over... Actually, it does. Where does it have it? It must be built in off the back side of that detent. There's an internal stop. I can feel it. I don't know if you can quite hear it click. So there is some sort of internal lock bar stop in there. I just don't know where it is. It's got to be built in right in there. But I'm serious. That thing is so massive, and you can feel how much tension there is from this notch. Watch it jump over. And it's not going too far over for the lock face, but it's really locking into place nicely. So I would have, again, no fear using this for pretty much anything. So that's my look at it. If you've ever wanted to try to search one of these out, I'm going to tell you right now, it was worth it. It was worth almost anything that you can possibly pay for it. I'm to the point now where I think this is going to be something I'm going to carry probably 2-3 times a week, which says a lot. I usually carry a different knife every single day. I don't usually carry the same knife more than maybe twice or maybe 3 times in an entire month. This one, I think I'm going to be carrying 2 or 3 times a week. It is that cool. It is that awesome. My only gripe, again, was just that pocket clip. Everything else, oh yeah. I don't usually get this excited about a knife, and I didn't think I would get that excited about this one, but this excites me. Well, apparently it excites me enough to go on for nearly 21 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it off now so I can get a decent upload time. Thank you guys, as always, for watching. Thank you to all my new subscribers. I just cleared that 1,000 subscriber hurdle 2 days ago. You guys just rock, and I really appreciate the feedback and comments. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you again soon because I have to do a video on this masterpiece as quickly as I can. So we're going to take a nice long look at that when I get the chance. Anyway, sayonara for now. If you have any questions or comments, you know where to leave them. Thanks.